What's up, everyone? How you doing today? My name is Tim Penner, and I wanted to do another Tim's Toolbox for you, but we're going to do it a little different today, and we're not going to be in the software learning some tips and tricks, but rather I wanted to talk to you about something that I think a lot of artists struggle with, and I talk to a lot of guys on a daily basis trying to give them tips and advice, and dealing with Slideways music. I get a lot of demos in order to sign them for the label, and I think what I'd like to do is just go over a few things on helping you get signed to a label. And this has to be one of the hardest aspects of starting out your career in the music industry because, let's be honest, at the beginning, you don't have any connections. You don't know the names. You don't know who to send them to. You don't know who to send your music to, and really how to approach the label to try to get signed on their label. So let me start at the beginning for me, because when I started, I really had no idea what to do. I knew a couple of people that were friends that were making music, but they didn't really know how to get me in touch with the right people at certain labels. So I took the initiative on myself, and I would literally send out 50 to 200 emails every day. And I had a track that I was proud of, and I was going to get it signed. And that's great. That's great initiative, and I know there's a lot of guys out there that just send email after email after email in hopes that you're going to get signed on a label. So kudos to you for the initiative and the passion of sending out so many emails. But what I'm going to talk to you today is that that's the wrong approach. And in fact, it's going to get you nowhere, and it may even pull you back a couple of steps in the eyes of some of the A&Rs and the label managers. So this came up, it's come up a lot more recently, especially because I personally replied to most of the demos that come into Slideways. And right off the bat, there's a couple of things that I'm gonna say happen most often. There are generic emails that come in from artists that do have talent, but they are short, they're impersonal, and I can tell within 5 seconds whether or not they know anything about my label, who I am, and that they've probably sent their emails out to 50 to 200 labels, just like I did. And unfortunately, that's not going to get them signed on my label. Now, I have a very close friend who is in the same situation, and he's a little bit stuck at the moment, and he's trying to get signed. And just a couple of weeks ago, he told me about this label that he got a reply from. And that's the thing too, is that it's so rare that you get replies from labels. Generic emails is probably one of the main reasons. And so he came to me and he said, I'm trying to get signed. I'm sending out all these emails. And this label in particular that he was mentioning, he said, I don't think they're very nice people. And I don't think they like me. And I said, oh, really? That's strange. What did they say? And they said, he said, at their label, they look for a certain type of person, and they want to welcome them into the label family. And he thought that that was very closed-minded of them, that they wouldn't be looking for other artists out in the world, that they needed to be open-minded to just accept music in. If it was good music, then they would sign it. And that is a completely genuine thought and approach to the industry. It's incorrect. And I'm going to give you the other side of it. I'm going to give you some advice from my side when I sign on Slideways. Slideways is my baby. Okay, I have a lot of years in the industry. I've worked my ass off just to make it as an artist and to try to make Slideways a success. Now, Slideways is my third label. I've tried over and over, and now this is the one where it's getting a little bit of traction. But I need to put some perspective out there for you. I put blood, sweat, and tears into this label. It's my vision. It's my passion. I put a lot of work into it. I put a lot of work into finding the artists, doing the promotion, doing the marketing campaigns, doing the email sendouts, the promo packs. Everything that happens to that label is very important to me. So when I look for demo submissions, I don't want to just sign the best music. It's a great thought, but what I really want with this label is to sign like-minded people that want to contribute, that want to support, that want to be a part of a vision that I have. And so this person that contacted this label, this is what they felt from the label. They felt that it was a little closed-minded, and that it was rude, and that it was a personal thing, and that they were just not open to new music. When in fact, when I put so much work into the label, as much work as you do as an artist to make the music, I want you to know my label. I want you to know why you want to be a part of the label. So once I started narrowing in on what I wanted, which is often the hardest part about this as a growing artist, once you narrow in on the sound that you want and where you want to go long term, now rather than throwing darts at a dartboard to find a label, you can plan your attack, so to speak. A lot of people in progressive house, they want to be a part of Sudbeat or Lost and Found, and labels along those lines. And that's a great target. That's a really good place to zone in. Now, you want to be a part of that label, work your ass off to be a part of that family, a part of that community. So another part of what I want to talk about is a saying that I often hear with a negative shade on it. And the saying is, it's all about who you know in this industry. And when you usually hear that, it's usually painted as a negative comment. Oh, well, they know so-and-so. That's why they got that gig. That's why they got that signing. That's why they got that. And over the years, I've come to learn to appreciate that phrase, because it's not just about who you know. It's about how you know them. And the people that become most successful put the effort into getting to know them. They're the ones that go out to the clubs where that label is having a party, and they get to meet the label owner, and they get to meet the other artist, and they genuinely want to feel a part of that. That's what it's about. Now, I first got I really got this sensation of being a part of something bigger and more important and closer to my heart when I started going to Amsterdam for Amsterdam Dance Event, which happens every October, and it is the mecca of the industry in dance music. And the first year I went, it was quite overwhelming. But what I learned is that it's finding the family. So this is another issue when you are sitting in your bedroom, or you're sitting in your studio day after day, and you're communicating with people over Facebook or messages or anything like that, and there's no face-to-face. You know what I mean? So that's one hurdle. You know, when you're stuck here, you're stuck at home. That's great, and it's a great way to meet people and communicate and network. But it's another thing to be there with them, shake their hand, look them in the eye. And usually, you know, what I find with up-and-coming artists is that's very difficult, and it was really hard for me too. I lived outside of Toronto, and it was hard for me to get here to meet people and network. And again, that's another mentality that has, even for me, it had a negative connotation to it, in that, oh, I have to go and network, and I have to schmooze, and I have to be on, and I have to work to be a part of this group. If that's how you feel, that's the wrong group. You don't want to be a part of that group if you have to feel like you're schmoozing and you're doing something that goes against the grain of who you are. What it's about is that we need each other to be successful. And when you narrow in on a group of people with like minds, like music, and you have the same vision, that's a family. So in terms of getting signed on a record label, once you begin to identify with who you are and where your sound fits in, you need to start to get to know those people. And I tell you from experience, it's the most rewarding experience once you start to really build that global family. And I don't feel like I'm schmoozing. I don't feel like I'm hustling to make it into a certain group to be successful. Because when you find those people with the like minds, you work better together. And if you haven't found that yet, that's what you should be after as an artist. Where do you fit in? Where do you fit in locally? Where do you fit in globally? Those are two important questions that you need to ask yourself before you start sending out random emails. There's nothing more frustrating to me when I open up my promos or my demos for Slideways and it's not addressed to me. They don't know the genre that I put out. They haven't tried to get to know me. They didn't ask who I was or how I was doing or talk about anything that I'm involved in, because as an artist, it can often be very self-serving. And this is the last point that I want to make, is that as an artist, you are grinding to be seen. You need to be out there in a very difficult industry and you need to be seen. So as an artist trying to be seen, it becomes very selfish. And what ends up happening is you just want to get on a label so that you can say you have a signed EP. Look at me, I'm released on X label. That's great. You can put it on Facebook and people can forget about it in 2 weeks. Because in the long run, one release in your career is not going to make you. You need to think long term here. So when an artist comes to me and sends me an email and it's completely unpersonal, it's impersonal, and they didn't take the time to know what they were getting involved in, it goes in the trash. I don't have time for that. And it's a sad part of the industry because you have to understand that these labels, it's not just a stale business. It's not just a place for you to distribute your music. This is from my heart. I put a lot of effort into building this label into something, and when I find an artist, I want to know that they're going to be there to help strengthen it and contribute to it long term. And eventually they may outgrow it, but I hope that we can work together for a while. I don't care about your music if you just want to release and use my hard labor to give you a spotlight. I'm not interested in that. What I want to find artists that want to grow and grow with me, because I'm still growing myself. And that we can work together as a team, that we can go and meet new people and network with other labels and other artists to make the industry a stronger place. So if you email me and you don't know anything about me and you don't know anything about the label and you don't know what you want, it's going in the garbage. So I'm going to wrap it up with that because I think I've made a few pretty solid points. Because where I started and where I am now are completely different perspectives on the industry. I know it's hard getting started. I know it's hard. It's so hard to get noticed, especially if you don't have anyone. So take the phrase that I mentioned before, it's about who you know, and take the time to get to know some people. You don't have to be a smarmy salesperson. You don't have to be a hustler. You don't have to be a schmoozer. Just get to know them. Get to know who's involved in the label. See if it's a fit. Look at it like a job, right? And before you know it, once you start to focus in on where you want to be, you'll be able to tailor your music to that. And possibly those labels that you originally wanted, they're not the right place in the end. And there's a better fit for you and there's a better family. Get to know that. Do your research. Know where you're sending it. Rather than throwing out 1,000 darts into the air like this, get a laser sight and a rail gun and make your aim and fire. That's what it's about. Fine-tune your craft, fine-tune your art, know where you want to be, and go and get it. That's all I got for today. Good luck, guys. I know it's hard out there, but you got it. You got it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. See you guys.